Maya had always believed her marriage was built on trust. She and Derek had been together for 6 years, and in that time, they had weathered job losses, miscarriages, and the slow erosion of youthful infatuation into something deeper, at least she thought. Then came the betrayal. It wasn't whispered gossip that exposed it, nor a suspicious text message. It was her sister, Lila, who came to her sobbing one rainy evening, guilt cracking her voice like thunder outside their window. "I didn't mean for it to happen," Lila choked out. "It was one time. I swear. We were drunk and stupid." Maya froze. Her heart didn't break, it ruptured, like a dam under pressure, drowning everything in its path. She couldn't speak. Couldn't cry. Only stare at her sister with a numbness that terrified her. Derek didn't deny it when she confronted him. He simply stood there, eyes low, shameful silence confirming everything. There were no explanations, just excuses that tasted like ash on her tongue. She left that night and went to her father's house. Her childhood home. The only place that still felt untouched by betrayal. Her father, Leonard, a retired pastor known in their small town for his wisdom and calm demeanor, welcomed her with open arms. He made her tea, sat her down, and listened, really listened, as she told him everything, her voice breaking into pieces. After a long pause, Leonard finally spoke. "Forgive him, Maya." She blinked. "What?" "I said forgive him. And your sister too." Her jaw tightened. "You can't be serious." Leonard sighed, setting down his mug. "I'm not saying forget what they did. I'm saying let go of the bitterness before it poisons what's left of your soul." "You want me to just go back to him? Pretend nothing happened?" "No," he said gently. "But don't let this define the rest of your life. People fall. Even the ones we love most. And sometimes the healing isn't in forgetting, it's in rising above it." Maya stared into the fire burning in the hearth, its flames dancing like the storm inside her. Her father had always preached forgiveness. But now, when the wound was hers, the words felt like a betrayal of their own. Over the next few weeks, Maya stayed with her father, declining Derek's calls and ignoring Lila's messages. Her father never pressed her. He simply sat with her, shared silent meals, walked with her through the woods behind their house. One evening, as they watched the sunset, he placed a hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to go back to the life you had," he said. "But if you carry hate into the life you build next, it will only follow you." Maya didn't respond. But she heard him. Deeply. She eventually filed for divorce. Quietly. Without vengeance. When she saw Derek again, at a mediation meeting, she looked him in the eye without shaking. Not because she was over it, but because she had chosen peace over chaos. She never reconciled with Lila. Some wounds needed more than time, they needed space. Months passed. The town kept its polite distance, whispers behind closed doors, sympathetic smiles at the grocery store. Maya hated the pity most of all. As if she were the broken one. As if her husband's betrayal somehow made her less. One afternoon, while helping her father tend to the garden, she asked, "Did Mom ever hurt you?" Leonard paused, squinting toward the sunflowers. "She did. Once." Maya hadn't expected an answer. "What did you do?" "I stayed," he said, gently patting the soil around a stubborn root. "But not because I was weak. Because I knew we both still had more growing to do. But what she and Derek did, it wasn't just a mistake. It was betrayal. With Lila, of all people." "I know." He met her eyes. "And I know you're not your mother, and Derek isn't me. Your path is your own. But I need you to know this, forgiveness isn't about giving them peace, it's about reclaiming yours." Maya said nothing, but those words haunted her that night. She started therapy. Not to forgive, but to understand. Not Derek, not Lila, but herself. Why she'd stayed quiet so long. Why she had always played the peacemaker. Why it hurt more that her sister confessed than the betrayal itself. Because deep down, Maya realized she'd always known something was wrong. The way Derek had looked at Lila. The way Lila would laugh a little too hard at his jokes. But she buried it. Because acknowledging it would have meant facing the unthinkable. And now here she was. Facing it anyway. Lila's letter. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, a letter arrived. Maya. I don't expect you to forgive me. I wouldn't forgive me either. But I need you to know, I never loved him. It wasn't an affair. It was a moment. A disgusting, selfish, drunken moment. I hate myself for it, and I think about it every day. I've started going to therapy. I'm not writing to excuse what I did. I'm writing because I miss my sister. I understand if you never speak to me again. I just needed you to know, I never stopped loving you. Lila. Maya read it twice. Then once more. She didn't respond. But she didn't throw the letter away either. A year later, Maya opened a small bookstore café downtown, something she had dreamed about back when life was still whole. She called it Second Chapter. The name was deliberate. Quietly defiant. She served tea and old poetry, fresh-baked muffins, and quiet understanding. Locals came for the books, but many stayed for the peace she radiated. Pain still lived in her, like a scar you can trace in the mirror, but it no longer bled. She saw Derek once at the hardware store. He looked older. Tired. He gave a small nod. She nodded back. No words. Nothing left to say. And Lila? Maya didn't see her for nearly 2 years. Until one day, just before closing time, the bell above the door chimed. Maya looked up. There she was. Pale. Nervous. Holding a book. Hi, Lila said softly. I didn't come to talk. I just wanted to support your store. Maya didn't smile. But she didn't turn her away either. Lila placed a worn copy of Jane Eyre on the counter and left cash, too much. Then walked out. Maya watched her go, heart pounding. She didn't call after her. She just stood there. And that night, for the first time, she didn't cry when she thought of them. Forgiveness doesn't always come with a reunion. Sometimes it looks like silence instead of rage. Distance instead of revenge. Healing without closure. Maya never returned to the life she once had. She built a better one. One page at a time. Spring arrived quietly in the town, softening the edges of winter's silence. At Second Chapter, the cafe walls now held more than books. They held stories, shared by strangers over coffee, whispered between friends at corner tables. It had become more than a business. It was a sanctuary. But despite the peace Maya had cultivated, something inside her remained unsettled, a knot that refused to untie. Not rage. Not sadness. Just wait. The kind that silence creates. And then, the second letter arrived. Maya. I know I said I wouldn't write again, but there's something you deserve to know. I've been carrying it like a stone. I didn't come to the house that night to confess out of guilt. I came because I thought I was pregnant. It turned out I wasn't. But those few days of fear made me realize how broken I was. How much I'd damaged you. Us. You have every right to hate me. But I'm writing because I want you to know I'm still here. I still love you. I'll always be your sister, even if only in silence. If you ever want to meet, I'll wait. No expectations. Just air between us, if that's all we can share. Lila. Maya folded the letter with trembling fingers. She stared at it for a long time. This time, she didn't cry. She whispered to herself, I'm not the same woman who was broken by you. It took 3 weeks before Maya sent a text. Just one line. Saturday. 4 p.m. Walk by the lake. If you want. Lila responded with a simple I'll be there. The day was overcast. Perfect for truth. They walked without speaking for the first few minutes. Ducks skimmed across the water. Children laughed in the distance. Maya finally broke the silence. You still think about it? Every day, Lila replied, voice low. But I don't live there anymore. Maya nodded. Neither do I. They sat on a bench by the water's edge. Two sisters. One scar between them. I can't forget it, Maya said. But I don't want to hate you anymore. Lila's eyes welled. I don't expect you to love me again. I don't know if I will, Maya said. But maybe we can start with honesty. Lila smiled through her tears. That's more than I deserve. And for the first time in years, Maya reached out and touched her sister's hand. 6 months later, Maya met someone. His name was Julian, an architect who had wandered into second chapter on a rainy Tuesday looking for a copy of The Prophet. He stayed for the poetry, then for her. He didn't ask about her past. Not at first. When he eventually did, he listened. No advice. No pity. Just presence. He saw her not as a woman who had been betrayed, but as a woman who had rebuilt herself. I don't need to be rescued, Maya said early on. I didn't come with a cape, Julian replied. Just an umbrella. They fell in love quietly. Gently. Like people who knew pain could return at any moment, and chose joy anyway. One day, over brunch at the bookstore, Maya's father leaned over and said, I'm proud of you. For what? She asked. For choosing to live. Not just survive. Maya smiled. You taught me that. Even when I hated you for saying it. He laughed softly. That's what fathers are for. Later that week, Maya removed the last box of Derek's things from storage. She didn't burn them. She didn't return them. She just donated them, quietly, without ceremony. The past didn't need a monument. It had taught her what it came to teach. And now, it could go. Maya didn't rebuild her old life. She planted a new one. And as it grew, she realized. Healing doesn't mean erasing the scar. It means no longer flinching when you see it. Years later, on a quiet evening in late autumn, Maya stood alone outside second chapter. The sign above the door had faded a little, but the warmth inside hadn't. Candles flickered on tables. Old jazz played from a vintage speaker. The smell of cinnamon and paper lingered in the air. She looked across the street where Julian waited, smiling gently from their parked car, hand raised in a small wave. They were heading to dinner, nothing fancy. Just something simple, the way they liked it. Before turning to go, Maya glanced through the café window one last time. Inside, a mother read to her daughter. A young man typed on his laptop with headphones in. A retired teacher folded a newspaper and took a slow sip of tea. None of them knew her story. And that, finally, was the beauty of it. She was no longer the woman whose husband cheated. Not the sister of the girl who broke everything. Not even the woman who started over. She was just Maya. A woman who had been broken. And then, with quiet courage, rebuilt. Not into what she had been. But into someone wiser. Softer. Stronger. Someone free. And as she crossed the street toward Julian, autumn leaves swirling at her feet, Maya felt no ghosts behind her. Only light ahead.